Resident Evil 2 has one of my favorite tricks in all of horror. It makes you fear things you can't even see. Not the zombies stumbling around the corner, not the gore smeared on the walls, that are the obvious scares. What really gets under my skin is when I stop moving, when I hold my breath and just listen. I don't really have to explain much, just listen to this for a second. That's the kind of fear that lingers. Jump scares come and go, they don't stick with you, but sound you will remember. It crawls into your memory. You will be playing, thinking you're safe, and then suddenly the air feels just too quiet. Suddenly you're not sure if the sound came from the game or your own apartment. And that's why I think Resident Evil 2 is one of the best sounding horror games ever made. It's terrifying, yeah, but it's also very deliberate. It's precise, almost musical. Every echo, every pause, every little creak feels like part of a bigger performance the game gives you. Capcom didn't just design or redesign an old scary game. They built something that sounds alive, sounds different, sounds better than any other game. And once you notice it, it changes the way you play the game, the way you feel about the game, and even the way you remember the game long after it's over. But before we dig into the sound itself, it's worth remembering what Resident Evil 2 actually is. The original Resident Evil 2 came out in 1998 on the PlayStation. Fixed camera angles, clunky control, zombies everywhere. It was groundbreaking at the time, not just because it was scary, but because it leaned so heavily on the atmosphere. The graphics were pretty limited, but the sound did the heavy lifting back then, with weird hums in the dark. Doors creaking open, typewriters clicking. It was pretty primitive by today's standards, but back then it was ahead of its time by a mile. Fast forward 20 years and Capcom remakes Resident Evil 2 in 2019. New graphics, new over-the-shoulder camera, full modern engine. And here's the key part. Suddenly all those old tricks used in the original game don't work anymore. The fixed camera angles that was used to set up scares, it's gone now. The muffled stereo audio in the 90s, that's just not enough anymore. So the audio team had to rebuild fear from the ground up. As sound director Kentaro Nakashima put it, they wanted to betray the original, but in a good way. In other words, not just reuse the old sounds, but reimagine them with modern technology. And that's exactly what they did for the remake. Quick little break. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing or liking the video, would help me out a lot. Maybe by the end of the year we can get to 1,000 subscribers. I know that's a little much to ask for, but I have hope. And without further ado, let's get back to the video. Let's start with this. One of the coolest things in Resident Evil 2 is how alive the police station feels. Not just because it's crawling with the zombies, even though that would mean the police station is unalive because zombies are not living, right? But because the building itself feels like it's breathing along with you. The audio team didn't want the RPD to just be a backdrop. They wanted it to sound like its own character. So they treated it kind of like an instrument. Every hallway, every staircase, every room has its own unique tone to it. Here's the part that's really fascinating to me though. Most games would just fake it. You shoot a gun, the game goes big room or small room and then just slaps a preset echo on top. It's the video game version of a love track in a sitcom. It's the same sound effect you've heard a million times, but you don't buy it anymore. It doesn't really feel real and immersive anymore. You know it's fake. Resident Evil 2 went way further with this. The team actually recorded the echoes of real stairwells and hallways. They would clap or pop balloons, then capture how the sound bounced around the room, and then take that data and feed it into the game engine. Those recordings called impulse responses are basically the fingerprint of each room. So when you fire a pistol in the library, the shot actually lingers and drifts upward into the rafters. Fire that same pistol in a cramped office and the sound snaps back at you. And these little things matter. They make the game stand out. Footsteps sound different on stone versus carpet. A doorframe might creak in one hallway but stay silent in the next. It's very subtle, but all of it makes this station feel less like a level in a game and more like a real place you are in right now. And once you notice that, you will start moving differently. You pause to listen. You second guess whether making noise here is a good idea. The station isn't just a box containing the horror. It is performing it. And the longer you spend inside, you start learning its moods. Almost like you're learning a song. If the RPD is the instrument, then the way Resident Evil 2 plays it is with ghosts. Not literal ghosts, but those sounds that feel like they are right behind your shoulder. Like this one, for example. That is the magic of binaural audio. Older games used to keep it very simple. If something groaned on the left, they will just make the left speaker louder. And done. But that's not how sound works in real life. In reality, noises bend around your head, brush past your shoulders and hit your ears at slightly different times. Your brain then turns all of that data into a 3D map of where things are. Capcom somehow figured out how to fake that map. All it basically does is when a zombie groans behind you, it doesn't just make that speaker louder. It feels like it's really there. It's got weight, it's got this presence to it. Your brain reacts as if someone really is breathing down your neck. And this mattered more than ever with the remakes over-the-shoulder camera. The old fixed angles did a lot of the scaring for you. You would walk into a room and bam, the camera reveals the monster. But now that you can see more of the space and can actually choose where to look at, the fear has to come from where you can't see. And that's exactly where the sound design of Resident Evil takes over. And the best part is it changes the way you behave once again. You play slower, you stop to listen, sometimes you even tilt your head a little, like that will help. But there's one exact sound in Resident Evil 2 that can stop you in your tracks. It's not a scream. It's not a gunshot. It's not a zombie bursting through a door. It's just... On paper, Mr. X looks kind of goofy. A giant man in a trench coat stomping around like someone's dad who got lost on the way to a costume party. But the second you hear those footsteps, all the silliness just vanishes. Because he doesn't just walk, he pursues. Every step is a reminder that he's still out there somewhere. Still moving, still following you and maybe closing in. What makes this so brilliant is that the footsteps aren't just spooky background noise. There are a whole new language you have to learn. A long, echoing stomp means he's still upstairs probably, giving you a few precious moments of calm. A heavy step means he's short and close, in your hallway maybe. And when the rhythm changes, when his boots quicken, you don't need a HUD warning or a flashy red icon that tells you he's there. You already know. He has seen you, so you better run. After a while, you start reading those sounds the way you would study a boss's attack pattern in a fighting game. You play differently because of them. You pause near doors, listening for distance. You hesitate before sprinting across a hallway. Sometimes you will even start to game the rhythm, hoping you can slip past him in the gaps, like that would work. And that's the whole genius of it. The game never explains this to you. There's no tutorial box saying, "Listen carefully, his footsteps give away his position." You just learn it. The sound itself teaches you how to survive. That's why Mr. X works so well. Not because of the way he looks, but because he turns into a living metronome of dread. He sets the tempo of your fear, beating it out step by step until you realize the scariest sound in the whole game isn't a scream or zombie at all. It's this rhythm. Horror games live and die on tension. But tension isn't sustainable if it never lets up. If you're at max anxiety all the time, the fear just flatlines. That's why Resident Evil 2 has always been so brilliant at giving you breaks. Moments that aren't quite relief but feel like slipping into the eye of the hurricane. And that's where the save rooms come in. You slam the door behind you, the adrenaline is still spiking, and then silence. No footsteps, no groans, just a soft piece of music that feels like it's been waiting for you. For a few minutes you feel untouchable. What's so striking is that the music isn't cheerful. It never sounds like triumph or victory. It's not victory music. It's careful, restrained, almost fragile, hovering between comfort and melancholy. They don't promise you everything's okay. They just allow you for the first time in 20 minutes to take a breath. And if you've played Resident Evil long enough, these spaces start to feel different over time. The first time you find one, you're just relieved. It's like stumbling across a candle in the dark. But by the 5th or 6th visit, you will notice something changing. That little room becomes familiar. The music isn't just safe, it's yours. It feels more like coming home than hiding. And in a game where every other hallway wants to eat you alive, that shift is powerful. That's a core part of Resident Evil's design philosophy. Horror needs contrast. Without these calm moments, the RPD would just be noise and exhaustion. Instead, the save room becomes a ritual. You sit down, heal up, shuffle items in your inventory and steel yourself. It's not just mechanical, it's emotional. You reset before stepping back into the storm. The brilliance is how this tradition evolves across the series. Resident Evil 4 gave us Serenity, a track that feels like slipping into a decompression chamber. Warm, soothing, but tinged with sadness. Like a reminder that calm never lasts. Resident Evil 7 twisted it again, making its save room theme sound like something acoustic and slowly decaying, as if even safety was rotting along with the house. And it's not only Capcom that figured this out. Silent Hill turned save music into an art form. Theme of Laura doesn't just sound like horror at all. It's nostalgic, bittersweet, the kind of song that makes you remember something you can't quite place. It shows that horror isn't only about fear. It's about longing, memory, and the things you wish you could hold onto. That's why the save room music feels so beautiful. It's not just a time to breathe. It's what makes the terror outside the door work so well. It teaches you that safety exists, but only in fleeting glimpses. And every time you step back into the dark, it makes you miss this little room even more. So, Resident Evil 2 sounds so good because it's personal. Not in the sense that the game knows you, but in the way those little noises stick with you. Long after I've shut it off, I will be walking through my own apartment, hear the floorboards creak, and for half a second, yeah, I'm back in the RPD, waiting for those footsteps to follow me. That's the power of sound in horror. It doesn't just scare you in the moment. It rewires the way you listen to the world around you. That's why Resident Evil 2 sounds so beautiful. Because it's not only about fear, it's about tension and relief. So I guess I will leave you with this. Next time you boot up a horror game, don't just watch what's happening on the screen. Try to listen. Notice how the sound shifts as you step into a new room. How the echo stretches or snaps back. How even silence starts to feel like a warning. Because once you do, you will realize that the game isn't just showing you the world visually. It's talking to you through every sound it makes. Peace.